Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into the story of India. It's fascinating, incredibly significant.
Absolutely. And we've got quite a mix of sources to work with, haven't we? History, government timelines, economic data.
Yeah, even a personal perspective piece in there. It's a huge topic.
It is.
So our goal today is really to pull out the crucial bits, give you a quick but solid understanding of India's journey and where it stands now in 2025.
Exactly. A snapshot, but an insightful one. We want to hit the key moments, the big trends that shaped modern India.
Right. And understand what's driving things now and maybe, just maybe, get a sense of the future.
That's the plan. So where do we start? Ancient history.
Let's do it. Our sources obviously touch on the Indus Valley civilization. Pretty advanced for its time, wouldn't you say?
Oh, incredibly so. Sophisticated urban planning, sanitation. It shows innovation goes way back in India.
Thousands of years. And after that, we get the Vedic age. The Vedas themselves, still so foundational.
They really are. They laid down so much of the philosophical and religious bedrock, giving us insights into early Aryan society.
Okay, moving forward a bit, we hit the big empires. Maurya's first, right? Chandragupta, and then Ashoka.
Ashoka's reign is particularly interesting, I think. His shift to Buddhism, focusing on dharma, social welfare.
Yeah, and those edicts he put up everywhere. It's like ancient public policy announcements.
Aha, exactly. Then comes the Gupta Empire, often called the Golden Age. Why that title?
Well, the sources point to huge leaps in science, maths, the arts. The concept of zero, for instance, advanced surgery.
Right, a real flourishing of intellect and culture.
Then we get into the medieval period. Delhi Sultanate, and then the really long stretch of the Mughal Empire, 1526 to 1857.
Yeah, a massive period. The Mughals left such a mark, culturally, architecturally. Think Taj Mahal.
True, but their decline sort of paved the way
For the British, first the East India Company, then the Crown takes direct control. The British Raj, 1858 to 1947.
And naturally, that fuels the independence movement. Quite a complex movement, actually.
Definitely. You had Gandhi's nonviolence, but also more revolutionary figures like Bhagat Singh and Nehru shaping the political vision. It wasn't just one thing.
A real mix of approaches.
All driving towards that goal.
And finally, independence arrives. August 15th, 1947. But that's not the end of the story, is it? It's really the start of modern India.
Precisely. The beginning of a whole new chapter with immense challenges right from the start. Setting up a government, writing a constitution.
Dealing with partition must have been incredibly difficult.
Unimaginably so. But a key step was January 26, 1950, becoming a republic, enacting the Constitution.
And that constitution defined India as, let me get this right, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Quite a statement of intent.
It absolutely was,
Yeah.
setting out the core values for the new nation, and Nehru steps in as the first prime minister.
What was his initial focus? Building the nation, I suppose.
Very much so. Building a modern industrial India. Planned economy, public sector focus, non-alignment in foreign policy.
Okay, and looking at the governments that followed, Congress was dominant for a long time, wasn't it? 47 to 77.
Yes, that first long stretch, Nehru, then Shastri for a bit, then Indira Gandhi, saw major events, wars, the Green Revolution.
Indira Gandhi's time seems quite defining. Bank nationalization, but also that move towards more centralized power later on.
True, which leads into that brief interruption, the Janata Party rule, 77 to 80, right after the emergency.
Oh yes, the emergency, we'll come back to that. But the Janata win was significant.
It was a reaction against the emergency, a sort of reaffirmation of democracy, even if it was temporary.
Because Congress came back in 1980, under Indira again, then Rajiv Gandhi, until 96.
Right, more reforms, tech advancements in that period, but then things got more complicated politically.
The coalition era, 96 to 2014. Lots of different parties involved.
Exactly. BJP, Congress, powerful regional players, lots of coalition governments needing consensus, a different style of governing.
Which brings us pretty much up to date. 2014 to 2025, the period of BJP dominance under Narendra Modi. Strong majorities.
Yes. And a different focus, again, Hindu nationalism, big administrative reforms, infrastructure push, social programs.
Okay, so across all that history, all those governments, let's talk pivotal decisions. Some good, some perhaps more debated. The Green Revolution seems like a clear positive.
Oh, undoubtedly. Getting India self-sufficient in food was huge.
Yeah.
High-yield seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, a massive national effort.
Then the 1991 economic liberalization, that was another big one.
Huge. Opening up the economy, reducing state control, encouraging private investment, really aimed at boosting growth.
And more recently, we've seen things like Digital India, Ujjwala Yoshana for cooking gas, GST, housing schemes.
Yeah, lots of targeted schemes.
Yeah.
Digital India pushing for digital literacy and infrastructure. GST aiming for that unified national market.
Plus, you just see the infrastructure growth, don't you?
Yeah.
Expressways, railways, airports. It's very visible.
Absolutely. Better connectivity helps everything: trade, commerce, daily life. It's foundational.
Okay, but on the flip side, decisions viewed more critically. The emergency in 75 comes up often.
Yes, a dark chapter, suspension of rights, censorship, political detentions. It really tested India's democratic foundations.
And demonetization in 2016. The sources mention a mixed impact economic disruption.
Right. The stated aims were fighting black money, fake currency, but the execution and the actual economic fallout, well, they're still debated heavily.
And sadly, the sources also mention communal riots happening under different governments over the years, a persistent issue.
It is. India's diversity is a strength, but it also has fault lines that can be exploited, sometimes politically, leading to tragic violence.
And finally, those persistent challenges: unemployment and inflation. Why are they so tough to crack in India?
Well, unemployment is complex, sheer population size, making sure people have the right skills, creating enough jobs. Inflation gets hit by global prices, domestic issues, policy responses. It's a constant balancing act.
So that brings us to today, 2025. What's the snapshot look like? Population.
Over 1.43 billion, most populous country in the world now.
Wow. And the economy. Fifth largest globally. GDP growth around 6-7% generally, so still growing quite fast compared to many places.
And that demographic point, over 65%, under 35, that youth power, huge potential, right?
Massive potential, a huge workforce, source of innovation. But, and it's a big but, it depends on giving them good education, skills, and jobs. Tapping that potential is key.
And technology is a big part of the story now, too. ISRO in space, the IT sector booming, digital payments.
Yeah, India's a leader in digital payments globally, which is quite something. ISRO's achievements are remarkable. Tech is really driving change.
But as always, challenges remain. Unemployment, we mentioned, environmental pollution is a big one.
Huge. And the rural-urban gap needing education reforms and political polarization seems quite high, too.
And these things are all linked, aren't they?
Deeply. Poor education links to jobs, urbanization links to pollution and inequality. You can't really tackle one without thinking about the others.
Okay, let's quickly touch on the stock market buzz in 2025. Sensex and Nifty hitting record highs.
Apparently so. Seems driven by confidence in sectors like IT, pharma, green energy, EVs, defense, areas getting a lot of focus.
And more regular people investing. That thematic count, boom.
Yeah, significant rise in retail investors, more people involved in the market, but of course there are risks mentioned.
Like,
Global recession fears, oil prices, inflation still nagging, the usual potential headwinds.
right. So looking further out now, India by 2050, what's the projection?
The big one is potentially becoming the world's third largest economy. That's a major shift.
And a leader in tech, AI, space, green energy.
That's the vision, moving up the value chain, becoming a real innovator powerhouse, plus developing a self-reliant defense sector.
But with that growth comes more pressure,
Yeah,
surely.
definitely. Managing the population, sustainable cities, protecting the environment become even more crucial.
And investing massively in people, education, health.
Absolutely essential. You need a healthy, skilled population to drive that kind of future.
So wrapping up the perspective from our sources, there's this view of India as a potential superpower, but a caveat.
Yes. The emphasis is strongly on needing to tackle those internal issues first: education, jobs, healthcare, political unity. Get the house in order, so to speak.
Makes sense. And the potential of the youth is highlighted again as drivers of innovation and unity.
Yeah, potentially changing the world's direction is how one source puts it. And this idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, that seems to be gaining traction.
It does. Influencing India's thinking on global issues, its role internationally, as a more cooperative, interconnected approach, maybe?
Potentially, yes. A sort of philosophical underpinning for its foreign policy and global engagement.
So quite a journey we've traced. Ancient roots, massive transformations, a major global player now in 2025, huge potential, significant hurdles still.
Indeed, it's incredibly dynamic. Progress needs to continue across so many areas to really fulfill that potential.
So the final thought for you, our listener. Think about that demographic dividend, that huge young population, combined with this push for internal cohesion and tech advancement. How might that unique mix really shape the global landscape in the coming decades? Something to ponder.